The Lenovo Think Pad, a name that's become synonymous with being indestructible. These are basically the laptop equivalent of a Nokia 3310. Like, after a long, hard life, this bad boy still feels sturdy enough that if you flung it into a data center, it would take that whole sucker down. But what's it like actually using one of these dumpster-find ThinkPads in 2026? How does it hold up? Well, we'll find out in today's video. But first, today's video is sponsored by Micro Center and their July back to school sales event. So if you're going back to school and in the market for a laptop, a graphics card, or even a printer, now might be the time to do it. And if you're from Austin, Texas, hang in there because your Micro Center is coming. Sign up using the link down below for a free 128 gig flash drive when the store opens. Same goes for the Columbus, Ohio remodel. Check out details down below. And while you're down in the description, you may as well check out Micro Center news. This is the old ThinkPad in question. It's a T440S, and in terms of build quality, it might all be made of plastic, but it feels like an absolute tank. And it's also got some fascinating I/O. Considering that this thing was made for business, it's decked out in some interesting ports. It's got a Mesozoic period port, for example, which I don't think I've seen on a laptop for a very long time, especially not one that's got like an i5 sticker on it. We also get full-sized Ethernet, USB 3, and a full-sized SD card slot with this port, which I don't know how to open, but I'm pretty sure it's a SIM card slot. Awesome. But in terms of video out, you don't have to party like it's 1874. It's also got a mini DisplayPort on the other side, and then a power port, which I'm a little bit worried about because I don't think I have a power brick that will power this thing.
A few moments later.
Now, I don't have an official cable for this, but I do have another Lenovo laptop. And I want to see if this plugs in here. I mean, it looks correct. It does! Now, the actual power brick is this 300-watt monster, which is designed for gaming laptops. But it's fine, right? That's not a problem. Okay, we got a little lighty flashing over here. Hey, it works. Well, it then immediately died, apparently due to low battery, which was a bit concerning considering that there's a 300-watt power brick plugged into the thing. But I guess we'll figure that out later. But we haven't even got to the most exciting part of the laptop yet, because when you turn it around, there is a removable battery. Like, it is hot swappable. You just pull a tab, and then it's out. You've got a loose battery, just like that. That is amazing. Super user replaceable. In fact, you can still buy these on Amazon. I've bought one, it's gonna come tomorrow. Now, when buying one of these batteries, something to be aware of is the capacity, because the first one that showed up was a 24 watt hour 11 volt battery, which converts to 2100 milliamp hour, which I'm pretty sure is less capacity than the battery in a pacemaker, even if it is slightly better than the stock battery was. It's just a 1900 milliamp hour battery, which combined with the i5-ness, I don't think this thing's gonna have any battery life. Luckily, if you scroll down a bit, there is also a 48 watt hour variant available, which with the lower voltage has more than double the capacity. So I got that one because I wanted more than 13 minutes of battery life. Well, the battery eventually came, but there was a slight problem with it. Oh, it's kind of chunkier than the other one. I mean, it fits in there, but now you've got like a goiter on the back of your laptop. Is that a problem? Okay, so that's definitely not ideal. At least it lifts your keyboard into a more ergonomic position to offset the back pain from all the added weight. I'm gonna pop this back in and then have a look underneath that. There's another like docking station port. This is so that when you get to the office, you can like dock your laptop in a thing and then have it work with all of your stuff. That's also cool. I like that that's a thing that exists. Now, I was having a tough time finding specs for the dock port. Everything just lists it as dock port and then doesn't elaborate. But considering that the Ultra Dock 90 watt has a bunch of USB 3 on it, gigabit Ethernet, and like HDMI 1.4, it has reasonable bandwidth. It can also charge the laptop. So yeah, if you're a fan of docking, it seems very useful. But aside from that, there's also like 3 ports on the bottom with like a keyboard and then a water drop under that. Is that drainage for the keyboard? Is that what that means? Does it mean that if you spill a drink on this thing, that it's just gonna run out the bottom and not kill the laptop? But let's open this thing up and have a look in here. Oh, it's got the nipple. This is a very well used laptop. The keys have a lot of human on it. That's always great. There's also this little thing, which, I mean, it feels like it's a scroll wheel, but like when you rub over it, it also doesn't feel like anything's happening. So I'm very excited to turn this on to see what this does. The keyboard. Oh, that's a pretty good laptop keyboard. There is a like clackiness to the keystrokes, but oh yeah, you can type hard on this bad boy. It doesn't have a numpad, so if your work involves Excel, I'm sure you would absolutely hate this laptop. Although, I mean, obviously you can plug an external keyboard into it, but still, if you're Excelling in like an airport lounge, you're gonna have to use horizontal buttons like an animal. But it makes up for it with the nipple. I mean, it's just, you can do all of your Excelling with the nipple, and I'm sure that's better than having numb keys. We've got a trackpad that does that sound. That is awful. That really lives up to the Trash Panda vibe of this laptop. But again, nipple, so this might not be that big an issue. We do have a taped up bit, which I'm imagining there's a webcam under there. So I think the first thing that we're gonna do with this laptop is we're gonna give it a little bit of a wipe down. We're gonna give it a bit of a clean. And then I'm gonna try and install Windows 11 on it because I'm really curious to see if that's something that works. After that, we'll install Linux on it because that's kind of the point of the video. We're heading towards Linux town with this, but not yet. Let's clean it first. Well, unfortunately, the cleaning didn't go great. I decided to use some cleaning liquor and paper towel, and if anything, the cleaning liquor just ate away at the keycaps even more, making them even stickier. Ugh. If anything, they're like stickier now. I then tried some screen cleaner, which, big surprise, cleaned the display pretty well, and it's actually helped with the sticky texture from the cleaning liquor. Not a huge amount, but it's made a little difference. I feel like I've borderline just made it worse, if anything, because like these little stains weren't there before. Oh no. After which I gave up and decided to try installing Windows 11, which initially went about as well as a child using their body to explore an electrical socket. Which is actually a terrible analogy for this because, well, in that analogy, the child gets electricity into its body, whereas I was really struggling to get electricity into the laptop's body. It worked initially, but again, we got the whole died due to critical low battery thing. So it seems like the ThinkPad doesn't like the 300-watt Lenovo power brick. And to test this, I went and bought like a normal universal laptop charger from a shop. Now I bought this bad boy, which is like a universal laptop charger. This was the only thing I could get on short notice, but hopefully this works. I mean, it's kind of designed for this thing. I don't know why the 300-watt one doesn't work, but maybe this is better. Let's give it a try. It was better. No more critical low battery warning while plugged into the wall. And considering that I used my Rufus-made Windows 11 flash drive, which was set to skip all of the security checks and stuff, the Windows 11 installation also worked really well. The installation took ages, but all I had to do was wait, and then I had some Windows 11 on a technically unsupported device. Hey, we got Windows 11! Although the display is real flickery on camera. Let me see if there's something I can do about that quickly. Unfortunately, changing the shutter speed didn't help, and neither did a polarizer, which were all of my ideas, which means you're just gonna have to take the flicker to the face. Sorry about that. And don't worry, I might not see the flicker on my end, but this display is still assaulting my eyeballs. This TN panel's colors are real bad. The off-axis performance is terrible. Like, this, compared to a modern laptop display, is an abomination. The sharpness isn't too bad though, despite not being 1080p. Now let's see how Windows 11 runs. It is very slow though. It doesn't seem to like Windows 11 very much. Like, I mean, that's not a great example. That launched really quickly. Aside from that bad example, the system was running pretty sluggishly, although I'd say it was still usable. What wasn't usable, however, was the trackpad. I hate this trackpad. Half the time, it doesn't register your inputs. So you just have to sit there smacking away at its clanky old ass. In terms of a lot of these features like display and trackpad and stuff, modern laptops are way better, even like budget modern laptops. Having said that, the way that this laptop held up to a long life of hard work is very impressive. I then remembered I don't need to use the trackpad, I can use some nipple action. Can you click with the nipple? Oh wow, there's a real learning curve to using this nipple. It doesn't quite respond in the way that I thought it would. It's almost like there's an acceleration curve to it. I don't know if the nipple's working for me, to be honest. Am I doing this right? Also, I have established that this side thing 100% isn't a scroll wheel, so we know that now. I then tried to benchmark the laptop's XL performance. So I went onto a forum and downloaded some XL file, tried to launch it in LibreOffice, which let me press the benchmark button at the top of the page, but nothing happened. So instead, I decided to download actual Microsoft XL, which didn't even let me press the benchmark button. After which I just spent a while clicking around stuff, and then I realized I was well outside of my expertise here and decided to just download a couple games instead. But before that, I made sure that Windows finished all of its updating so that we had maximum resources available for some BioShock. Now, gaming-wise, we're being real nice to it. I'm starting off with BioShock. We're using its native resolution, which is 1600 by 900. And, well, this is what the game's defaulted to, which seems very aggressive, like everything's on high. Sure, let's see what it does. That's what the game wants. Oh, I just realized I forgot to mention the specs. We're working with an i5 4200U and its iGPU, the HD Graphics 4400, and that's being fed by 8 gigs of RAM. We'll have a closer look at that configuration when we open up the laptop after the game testing. Oh yeah, this is the full library computer experience we've got going on here, which is not at all unexpected from the system. What is unexpected though is the temperatures of it. We've got 64C on the CPU, and I mean, I can barely hear the laptop. So clearly this is like a god tier gaming laptop, right? It's got such good cooling. Now we are seeing these huge spikes in the frame time graph, which I mean, I don't necessarily feel them, but maybe I don't feel it because the frame rate's low and fluctuating real hard. Maybe I can game with the nipple. Is that a thing that, oh yeah. It's not great. I'm gonna have a real tough time actually shooting anything. But wow, we've got some nipple gaming happening. Wait, why isn't he hitting? It's not working. I'm clicking. Okay, that doesn't work, apparently. I don't know what makes it harder, the nipple or the the fact that we're running at 20 frames per second. I then dropped the graphics quality to low, which in combination with me no longer using the nipple made for way better gaming experience. So these are the settings, again optimistic, but it is Half-Life 2 not even running at 1080p, so we should be good here, we should be good. I just want to turn vertical sync off, that's the most important thing. Oh, in the 50s is brutal for Half-Life 2, especially when it's not even running at 1080p, but it is an older laptop that doesn't even have a graphics card in it. So, you know, I mean, how much were we really expecting? Like, this is actually kind of running. 65C with 100% load is kind of crazy for a laptop. And again, that's with it basically not making any noise. Oh wow, I haven't seen this in a while. So this bottom panel does a kind of annoying old laptop thing where it wraps really high up to like around the I/O and stuff. And that actually makes it harder to get off. Whereas with a lot of modern laptops, they have the seam kind of here, which does make it easier to get off. There we go. Oh. So in the process of prying the back off, I kind of bent this heat pipe up a little bit. That's not great. Under there, we've got our Wi-Fi module, nice and easily accessible. There's our single stick of RAM over here. No, I actually think it only supports single channel RAM, which is a complete abomination. Like, I'm gonna have to throw this thing straight in the trash now. So this little guy's actually got two batteries in it. You've got an internal battery and then this hot swappable external one. That's a really interesting implementation. Luckily, it does seem like the internal battery is also pretty easily replaceable. It's not hot swappable. There's just like 3 screws holding it in place. And then over here is our storage. I haven't seen like a 2.5-inch enclosure in a laptop in a while. Remember when Intel SSDs looked like that? Wow. But everything in here looks pretty replaceable. I mean, you've got easy access to the display hinges. All of these little daughter boards just have screws holding them in, and they connect to each other with ribbon cables, which this is a pretty repairable looking device. Whoa. Why is there no thermal paste on that little chiplet over there? Like, is that the iGPU that just doesn't have thermal paste? Installing Fedora was pretty straightforward. I downloaded the image off their website and then used Rufus to make a bootable flash drive. Now initially, Secure Boot didn't want to verify the image, so I just turned Secure Boot off and we booted straight into Fedora. Then the installation process involved clicking a couple buttons, and just like that, we had Fedora installed on the Lenovo. So one of the things that I've heard from people who like help old people use computers is that you can bait and switch Linux onto an old person's laptop and they 100% would not notice the difference. Like, they wouldn't be able to tell. The process was super straightforward. Everything, including the trackpad and the nipple, just worked with no effort on my part. Now, in terms of snappiness, I'd say that Fedora felt maybe a little bit quicker than Windows, but again, the difference wasn't massive. And then in terms of gaming, BioShock wouldn't launch at all, but Half-Life did work. The performance was very similar, although the Fedora gaming experience with Half-Life was quite a bit more stuttery than what I experienced on Windows. Either way, both operating system options seem pretty viable for this old Lenovo, and it's definitely still a usable device. I would just very much look out for one that has an IPS display in it, because that was an option with these. Which brings me to the end of the video. Let me know what you think of this laptop down below, subscribe on your way down there, and until the next video, thank you for watching. Bye bye.